Greetings everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm your host Captain Rye, and today's video comes to us courtesy of Air Cannon 06. Air Cannon is one of my Patreon supporters, so thank you for that, Air Cannon, and he's also a member of my clan here in World of Warships. And today Air Cannon is playing the Tier 8 premium Japanese battleship, the Key. As the battle gets underway, it's neighbors, it's domination match mode, and it's a Tier 8 maximum battle. Now the Key here in World of Warships is a pretty good Tier 8 premium if you're looking for one. A couple of things that it has that other Tier 8 ships don't have is that it's got torpedoes. Now unlike the Tirpitz, who's also a Tier 8 premium with torpedoes, the Key only has 3 per side, the same as the Scharnhorst. However, they are 6 kilometer, and because there are only 3 per side as opposed to 4, they do reload quicker. They're also located at the stern of the ship, which gives them a pretty good firing arc overall, so you can use them while running away or while closing in on an enemy. Additionally, she also gets 10 16-inch guns in 5 turrets, the same turrets and gun configuration as the Amagi. So if you're familiar with the Japanese line, the Nagato and the Amagi, you'll be very comfortable playing this ship. She also gets incredibly good anti-aircraft for a Japanese battleship, and just in general, a Tier 8 battleship overall. I think her base anti-aircraft rating is something like 74. Now, Air Cannon spots a New Orleans off in the distance there, and you can see he's turning broadside on, so he leads that broadside just a little bit there. Shots go out, and is he going to connect with him? Yes, he does. Double Citadel. Couple of over-penetrations, not enough to kill that New Orleans outright, but definitely enough to make that New Orleans contemplate his life choices today. Now that New Orleans has the misfortune, of course, of turning broadside onto a battleship, but you can see there he's still broadside on. He thought about running away, but now he's being spotted again. Now Air Cannon's going to get his shots off there. He's got the guns reloaded, but you can see the spread there not quite as condensed, as compact as you want it, and he only managed to get a couple of over-penetrations. It would have been nice to finish him off then and there. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. But that New Orleans is still back there, and he is still broadsiding. In this particular case, you can see Air Cannon is looking around for targets. I would actually be focusing down that New Orleans for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a ship with radar, and as long as a radar cruiser's in the game, your destroyers are not as effective. So we can see here he's targeting the New Orleans again. He gets shots off here. But you can see that New Orleans has sped up just a little bit, and those shots are going to fall just a little bit short and to the aft. So no citadels there. More over penetrations, but boy, that New Orleans is really, really low HP. Again, definitely got to be contemplating his life choices, but not very effectively because he's still broadside on. He does finally figure it out, stops firing, drops off detectability there for a brief second, and gets away. If you find yourself in a cruiser in that situation, that's what you need to do. Just stop firing, drop off detectability, go into the back, rethink your life choices, maybe relocate to the opposite side of the battlefield because somebody's shooting at you and they've definitely got your number. Air Cannon takes shots at another cruiser out there, doesn't quite connect with him, doesn't give enough lead there. Something that I see a lot of players, especially in battleships, won't fully do is give enough lead to something like cruisers or even other battleships. One of the ways that you can see that is to have those particle effects on full, and you can actually see how quickly a ship is moving forwards or backwards by how far the smoke from the funnel of their ship is coming to the aft of the ship. Now, Air Cannon gets more shots off there, connects with that Amagi, does do a good amount of damage with regular penetrations, and he is turning away. Now that Amagi looks like he's going to run himself aground, which isn't good for him. Air Cannon is going to make a little bit of a mistake here. He's slowing down. Do you see that? He slows down. He allows himself to get hit as a result of slowing down by what is effectively a Cleveland hiding behind that island. And that Cleveland is definitely annoying. Now he's not being spotted because I do believe there's a cruiser back behind there as well that may have popped a smokescreen. But Air Cannon gets more shots out at that Amagi, and you know, the Key, just like the Amagi, has a nice big flat broadside, and if you manage to penetrate it, you're probably going to get a Citadel hit. And that Citadel there on that Amagi really has put the hurt on him. Now Air Cannon's switching his attention over to that Cleveland that's behind that island, and his shots can just barely clear, but I wouldn't be switching my shots and attention like that. I would continue to maintain shots onto that Amagi. I also wouldn't be sitting here stopped or trying to reverse. No, I'd continue forward. Use that forward speed. The key is a very, very fast battleship. And by continuing forward, you can at least open up some distance, throw the aim off of your enemy, as well as maneuver and avoid getting set on fire again. Now that Amagi has started to bow tank to Air Cannon because he realizes Air Cannon has got those 16-inch guns, and those 16-inch guns are a very big threat to him. The Key and the Amagi are both very, very good at bow tanking. That armor sloping is very good, just don't run into anything like a Yamato. That New Orleans off in the distance, very, very low health. It looks like Air Cannon's spotter plane is going to come off and back to the ship before he's able to reload and get his shots back, so he's not quite able to reach out and touch that New Orleans. And that New Orleans is actually still kicking off in the back there, doing what little he can. At this point in the battle, things are not going particularly well for Air Cannon's team. While they hold the C cap point, and the enemy is clustered up back over there trying to take it, the enemy currently has an advantage in ships. Not only do they have the destroyer advantage, starting off with 3 destroyers, but now they have all 3 of their destroyers show up, while Air Cannon's team only has 1. Additionally, they've managed to sink 5 ships to Air Cannon's 1 ship. But this kind of goes into paying attention to priority targets. There again, looking at that New Orleans. That New Orleans is very low health, and when Air Cannon hit him the first time and basically took off almost all of his health, he should have flagged that target. Used those F keys. I think it's F3. I have mind macroed with the mouse because it's a useful tool. Flag him for targets. Make everybody pay attention and go, oh hey, low health, easy to secure kill. Take him out of the game, remove his guns from the game, and make sure that he isn't able to continue keeping the points balance in favor of the enemy. Now, Air Cannon has found himself all the way over on the far edge of the map. He's isolated here, and this isn't particularly good for him, especially if the enemy team decides that they can focus him down. He still has a lot of health, and he's still a fast ship, so he's not in a bad position, he's just out of position. At this point, I would consider turning into the C cap point and making my way back to the friendly teammates who look like they're trying to take B. The game at this point seems like it should be over. The enemy team is way up on points. They've managed to capture the A cap point, and they're way up on ships as well. But it isn't over. You gotta keep playing. Don't let a defeatist attitude take hold of you in the game. Look again for those targets of opportunity. There's that New Orleans who's popped up. Again, incredibly low health. Take his guns out of the game. Get rid of him. He's almost in range of Air Cannon's guns, and it looks like he might be able to get him, but nope, that kill is secured by somebody else. Finally, though, that enemy ship is gone. Now, enemy destroyer pops up here very close. The secondaries are opening up. The Key has some pretty good secondaries, a lot of 100mm. That's part of why she's got great anti-aircraft. But you know, if that destroyer's popped up, he's popped around the headland of that island, you can assume that there are torpedoes in the water. So, Air Cannon, after taking out that destroyer with his main battery guns, starts turning in. Yes, that is a Farragut, so he doesn't have the longest range torpedoes, but still don't want to run the risk of being broadside on if they hit you. Fortunately, that torpedo manages to hit him right in the torpedo bulge and doesn't start flooding, so Air Cannon does not have to waste his repair in order to curtail any potential flooding. But look at that, he's got a couple of cruisers back here, one of which is starting to come around that corner. Now remember, Key has torpedoes. If you're in a battle and you're facing a Key, you have to remember that the Key has got torpedoes and you have to be careful of them. But of course, the enemy cruiser on the other side of this island has remembered that. Now Air Cannon's still being detected by something, so the enemy ship on the other side is fully aware that he's here. He's also fully aware that Air Cannon has effectively stopped. But you can see there that cruiser did not continue forward, so he didn't continue into those torpedoes. But remember what I was saying about the key having a quick torpedo reload, those torpedoes are going to be available again fairly soon. And remember what I was saying about the key having 16-inch guns? Yeah, this Cleveland came around that island at an angle, and those 16-inch shells basically just penetrated that poor little cruiser's citadel. And now that cruiser's got himself in a very bad situation. Look at this. He's stopping. He's trying to reverse. That is not something you want to do, because by the time you're going to start reversing into Cleveland, his guns are going to be reloaded, and guess what? He's got more health than you. So, shots go out there, but as it turns out, it didn't matter. The secondaries took care of that cruiser. Like I said, the key secondaries, though not as long range as other ships like the Tirpitz or the Bismarck or even the Scharnhorst, they are still pretty good because they're loaded down with 100mm dual-purpose guns. Those are the same guns you find at the Akizuki. So you have to be careful if you get close enough to this ship. Those secondaries will just rip you apart. So that earns Air Cannon another kill and a close quarters expert, but the enemy team is still currently in the lead. Now, Air Cannon's team did capture the B-cap point, and the enemy team is currently in the process of capturing it back from them. But look at this, the team has kind of rallied, and they've actually managed to get several kills and pull those points totals much, much closer. And this is an excellent thing, because now the game is suddenly a lot closer and can be rallied behind for a victory. Focus down, flag those targets, pick the targets that are higher priority, and finish them off. Like this enemy battleship that's in the B cap point. Now he's capping, he's got a lot of cap points there, but he doesn't have all of them. He drops off detectability right after Air Cannon gets his shots off there. So will he manage to connect? Yes, he does. He defends the base, and he also sinks that ship. But you notice that base is still being captured. There is an enemy destroyer in the base there. He's popped up there. He's also very low health, and again, that's one of those things. Focus down those destroyers, get rid of them. Air Cannon has managed to help his team by taking out that battleship, so that's one less ship, fewer guns they have to worry about. Plus, it reduces the points total, or actually shifts the points total in Air Cannon team's favor. So this is the first time in the battle that they're actually up on points, and that's partly due to having two bases as long as they did. Now, Air Cannon still being detected for a brief moment there, so taking shots in there. Gotta be careful if you're being detected, especially if there are battleships out in the distance. In the key, like I said, it has that big flat side. It doesn't sit as low as the Amagi, so you have to be careful. Enemy team manages to take out one of their low health ships, so with him gone, his team is still currently in the points lead, but barely. The enemy team now holds 2 of the cap points, so they are going to cap. They also currently have a ship's advantage. It's 4 versus 5, but both teams only have 1 destroyer, and we know how much health that 1 destroyer has because he popped up there. So he's fairly low health. Air Cannon is being detected. Using that, you can very easily identify exactly what is detecting you and where you are being detected from. So now, as he's going to come around this island, as soon as he clears this island, he's got the broadside of this Queen Elizabeth to shoot at. People tend to discount the power of these 16-inch guns, especially when they're in British battleships, because they think, I'm a tank, I'm a floating fortress. Well, Air Cannon certainly proves that wrong by managing to penetrate. No citadels, but a lot of damage done and a lot of penetrations. And he's going to go ahead and he's going to continue pushing up here. He's no longer detected. This is excellent. If you do have a captain that you want to use on the key permanently, like I do, I recommend using a captain that has Concealment Expert. The ship is surprisingly stealthy with that Concealment Expert and really tends to throw a lot of people off when Surprise Key pops up at about 12 kilometers. Taking a lot of shots in there as he was detected, so Air Cannon has to be careful here. He no longer has a repair ability, so at this point, he's got to be very, very careful when it comes down to the types of targets he's engaging and what he's giving broadside to, because he doesn't have the ability to recover that HP. Now, he's got a cruiser over here who is challenging his friendly destroyer. That destroyer is very, very important, and that cruiser is very, very dead. Unfortunately, the destroyer does not survive the engagement, And that is kind of an important thing for his team to lose, because that guy was spotting the enemy destroyer, and so long as that enemy destroyer stays alive, he's a sneaky Japanese destroyer, he can put torpedoes out there and cause some serious problems. Air cannon still getting hits there, but look at that. Secondaries managed to take out that Queen Elizabeth. For a second, close quarters expert, and earning air cannon his Kraken Unleashed. Enemy team still has a destroyer, and the points totals are very close. What needs to happen now is Air Cannon's team needs to rally together, stick together, and push into the B cap point. Better yet, if they can, send somebody all the way over to the A cap point to prevent the enemy team from continuing to gain points. That destroyer pops up briefly there for a second, and if he's popped up, you know he's left his smoke screen. There's probably torpedoes in the water, and it would be very bad if Air Cannon got hit by those. Fortunately, this destroyer leaves a wide spread, allowing Air Cannon to use the rudder shift on this ship, which is surprisingly maneuverable, to torpedo beats it. So now he's in here, and you'll notice that the cap is going up uncontested. This means that enemy destroyer has disappeared. If he's smart, given the amount of health he has left, he won't try and challenge. He'll go to the C cap point and capture instead for that sweet, sweet capping XP. If he's brave, he will try to challenge, come around that island, and try and get his torpedoes off at Air Cannon before Air Cannon can delete him. But that wouldn't really help his team out very much, because right now his team is up on points, and they've just started capping the C cap point. And so long as they have 2 of the caps, they will win on points. Plus, there's not a lot of time left in the game. So from this point, what the enemy team needs to do to win is basically just stay alive. Stay alive, stay hidden, don't challenge anything. Let the points speak for themselves. Let your caps do the work. But of course, if you can put yourself into a position without too much risk to take out the enemy team, go ahead, shoot them, farm the damage, maybe even secure that victory just a little bit more there. And as you can see, both of those ships are fairly full strength compared to the ships on Air Cannon's team. Now, Air Cannon is in a position where if they do want to win, they have to start attacking. They have to sink, preferably the destroyer, or they have to capture, preferably the A cap point. They have to do something in order to secure victory. That destroyer pops up there. He's very low health. He's just past that island. Air Cannon almost could get shots out on him, but opts not to present a broadside to either of these ships. That's a wise choice on his part, because he doesn't have a lot of health, and he's got a Gneisenau off in the distance there. But that Gneisenau, look at that. He's turning broadside on. You may be in a German battleship and have that turtleback armor, but remember, 16-inch guns still very, very painful when you get hit with them. And that's exactly what Air Cannon does, resetting the base capture progress yet again. And from the looks of it on the minimap, that Gneisenau is the only one who's actually capturing the C cap point. So as long as they can defend that for just a little bit longer there, they can prevent the inevitable of the enemy team getting more points. Now that King George V has come around the island here, this is very bad for Air Cannon, because the King George V has got a lot of guns, but also because he can fire high explosive and set Air Cannon on fire, and there's not a lot he can do here. One of the things that I would do here, however, is I would use my torpedoes and fire them off down that channel anyway. That KGV has stopped, and of course he is firing the high explosive because Air Cannon is angled heavily, plus he can set him on fire. And he is reversing, but you never know, the guy might change direction. He's not that far out of torpedo range, and if he continued, or if he decided to go full speed ahead, he might sail into them. Plus, it's a bit of a deterrent, and there was that destroyer, but notice the destroyer has met his end. So it's just the 2 ships left, and this now gives Air Cannon's team the points advantage, but Air Cannon gets taken out finally, meeting his end, but he does a good amount of damage. His team is in the process of capturing the A cap point, and the enemy team has secured the C cap point, so the enemy team's going to gain points. At this point, there's not a lot of time left, and the only thing that needs to happen for his team to win is to stay alive. but that KGB has other ideas. He knows full well that there is a cruiser here. He also knows full well that if they want to win, they need to get that points advantage back in their favor with a few seconds. If he can sink this Edinburgh, he can secure victory, but he doesn't. Look at that. He gets hit by a full set of torpedoes from the Edinburgh, and he fires high explosive right into him. If he had been firing armor piercing, the Edinburgh would be dead, and he would have survived the battle with just barely enough health. As the clock runs out, though, look at that. They managed to actually take out that KGV right at the last few seconds, which would have swung the points even more in their favor, so they did cement victory with that kill. Overall, a very good battle there. 166,000 damage done. 2 close quarters experts, a Kraken unleashed, high caliber, and devastating strike. 7 citadels. A little bit of a shame that you weren't able to annihilate that New Orleans, but still an excellent battle overall. And of course, with a result like that, top of the team for XP earned at over 2,000 base XP. But hey, that Edinburgh came in second on the team, very close behind with over 2,000 base XP. Anyway, that's it for today's video, folks. If you liked the video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. If you'd like to get semi-regular channel news and updates, you can do so by liking and following me on Facebook. If you'd like to help support me and the channel, you can do so by becoming my supporter on Patreon. If you've got a replay like this one, and please do send me your replays, you can send it to my email address. And if you'd like to watch me play various games live, albeit intermittently and with no set schedule, you can do so by following me on Twitch. You can find the links for all of those in the video description down below. And as always, we'll see you next time. This is Captain Rye, signing off.